yet another episode of S&P with me, Song, your conferences and engagement manager, and my bestie.
I'm the P in S&P. I'm Paul. I'm NAI's Deputy Director. Song, we have such a fun episode today. Holy smokes. We've got some of my favorite people in the field of interpretation to talk to.
Oh my gosh, I know. I cannot wait to actually meet them in person for realsies.
Yeah. You're going to love them.
I know. So, but if you can't meet them in person, you can at least meet two of them on the GAHI webinar on Thursday. There is still time to register. It is free for everybody. And it's hosted by InterPatMX. So I'm going to give you two chances on who's going to join us on this episode, Paul.
Well, I happen to know that both of these folks who have been involved with NAI in so many ways and established the Mexican Interpretive Association, InterPatMX, Manuel Gandara and Antonieta Jimenez, who are just absolutely fabulous people. And then Sam Ham, author of Interpretation Making a Difference on Purpose, and lots of other books. The three of them are going to join us right now to talk about the translation of Sam's book and some of the great work that InterPatMX has been doing. So listen, all three of these guys, I love them all, but they can talk a little bit. So I think maybe we should just get right to it, because they're going to fill up all of this time, and I can't wait to go talk to them.
Let's do it. Well, thank you so much, Tony, Manuel, and Sam, for joining us on S&P. This is very exciting. We mentioned that we've been doing a lot of work with InterPatMX, the international forum that we hosted with Interpretation Canada and Interpretive Guides of Canada. Now almost a couple of years ago, and then with the GAHI Excellence in Interpretation series. So we're thrilled to have you on. This is very exciting. And Sam, you've also been on an S&P, which is, we're not talking baseball, Sam, so just, rein it in. But we are talking about, Sam, about your book, which has been recently translated into Spanish. But there it is, Tony.
It's out of focus.
I know, it's so hard. Oh, there you go, yay.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know has already been translated into Spanish, but a different type of Spanish. So who wants to go first? Kind of just tell us a little bit about why this is important, and also kind of give us a little brief intro into what's new with InterPatMX. So maybe we'll start there.
Okay, Tony, you can go first.
Well, thank you very much. We are really excited about all this project. It has been a challenge, and it has been it has given us so many great moments of deep reflection about interpretation. And I really treasure and appreciate all this process, and I've always been very thankful to Sam for asking us to do this incredible job. So and this, as we said in our launch book in Spanish, which whoever wants to see it, it's in our YouTube channel. And we referred to the main goal of InterPatMX when we started talking about why should we create an organization about interpretation in Mexico, which is now actually more Latin American organization. And we wanted to strengthen interpretation as a profession. So this book, it is going to be a clear, strong step to that purpose, because now we have this, I don't know how to say it in English, un libro de cabecera. Manuel, how do you say that?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Libro de qué? Libro de qué?
It's like the
book.
It's like the book you have here always.
Regarding near to your bed.
Yeah.
Your bedtime book.
Whenever you want to know something about something, which is now interpretation. So we know that since long before, the importance of this book. So for our purposes as InterPatMX, this is such a great and outstanding book to to share interpretation and to strengthen it as a profession. Now, you, Manuel.
Well, we just answered to Sam's invitation, and I guess that the person to talk about that should be Sam himself.
Are you trying to be the MC here, Manuel? Well, all right. I met Tony in Belfast, Ireland.
Of course.
I was there giving a keynote address and a workshop for the Association for Heritage Interpretation in Britain, in the UK. And here we're going around the room in my workshop, and I'm asking people to introduce themselves and where they're from, what they do. And Antonieta, Tony, introduces herself, and she's from Mexico. And I said, why did you come all the way from Mexico to Ireland for this workshop? And she pointed her finger at me. She had come there because she saw I was speaking. So that's where we met. And in fact, we hung out a lot together with my friend Carl Atkinson, another psychologist who was getting his Lifetime Achievement Award actually at that conference, who grew up in Belfast, and he showed us all the spots that nobody else got to see from when the IRA was active, etc. Anyway, then fast forward to the NAI International Conference in Cabo. San Juan de, I think it's
San Jose del Cabo.
Yeah, San Jose del Cabo. And Antonieta's there, and she introduces Manuel to me, who basically seduced me into, Paul, something that you and I ultimately did together, right? Which is to speak at the conference on media, digital communication and museums that Manuel hosted at his university in Mexico City, where we also watched the World Series. As you say, Paul, watched the Astros cheat their way to a World Series crown.
The Astros cheated their way to the World Series in Spanish for us in the hotel bar.
That's right. Drinking tequila and chasing with beer. But anyway, I give that backdrop because this is the way my relationship with InterPat Mexico, which is for non-Spanish speakers, which is the Association for Heritage Interpretation, or for Heritage Interpreters in Mexico, or the Mexican Association of Heritage Interpreters. And at this point, we were now 7 years into a contract that my publisher, Fulcrum Publishing, and I had with the Association for Heritage Interpretation in Spain to produce. They did in 2014, the year after it came out in English, it appeared in Spanish, and they did that translation. Jorge Morales, and some of you will certainly know his name, sort of the father, the Freeman Tilden of interpretation in Spain, did an elegant, beautiful translation of it, and the imagery, the photographs, everything was perfect for a European Spanish speaker. But it didn't connect in a relevant way for Latin American readers, neither the language nor the imagery, the illustrations and photos, etc. And so I decided I would ask my publisher, could we look, when this contract expires, as it was, and 7 years later, could we now look to change their contract to continue to focus on the European Spanish speaker, and let us find another organization that is interested and capable of doing a Latin American Spanish edition of this book. And this is how this came to be. As I said, I proposed it to Tony and Manuel in one of our monthly, we call them tequila seminars, or tequinarios, we call them, where we do sip fine tequilas and talk about interpretation every first Friday of every month. We've done it now for over a year. And they enthusiastically accepted the invitation. We worked it out with Fulcrum Publishing, and that's how this book came to be. And then it took over a year, the three of us working diligently, but mainly Tony and Manuel doing the hard work of translation. Then I'm reading their translations and teaching them Spanish, which and interpretation Spanish anyway. And then finally it all culminated in the launch of the book on the 15th of this month, just a couple of weeks ago.
How much, in a project like this, how much of the translation itself is, just a question of language, And how much of it is finding relevant examples, culturally appropriate sites or photos, or, you know, not just the language, but the actual like content of the book itself? How much of that actually changes?
Let me get that one. There were actually both of them, Paul, because one of the problems we had with the Spanish version is that the examples, of course, came from Spain, and also several ways of talking. You know, it was very formal. It was not like interpreters are normally, you know, very personal, very close to people. It was in the proper, serious way of addressing people. That was another one. But finding the right examples was a big issue, because in the original environmental interpretation that Sam published in 1992 in Spanish, the examples were changed from the book that was published in English, and this were examples from Latin America, all of them. So we have to look for things that were compatible with the overall theme of the book. And we also found some nuances in the translation. We thought it was going to be very easy, you know, just maybe adapt it to Latin American Spanish, you know, take the vos and some other ways of talking that they have in Spain. But we realized that there were little nuances in the translation that I was worried about, because I didn't know if Sam was aware of that. And some of them could change. If the reader was not careful, they could change the meaning. And that is what it really took us a long time, because I was very picky. And I said, oh, I think that Jorge is doing the, you know, the right thing, but I think that it could go deeper, no? And it took us forever.
Yeah.
We literally had half-an-hour discussions over a single sentence repeatedly during this period of time.
That could have been quite an endeavor.
And this was not helped by the fact that you're looking at three academics here, right? And so very focused on every punctuation mark, every spelling.
Is it fair to say that the demand for this book in Latin American countries speaks to the growth of the interpretation field in Latin American countries?
Good question.
I would say it does. And one of the other reasons to do the translation for Latin American audiences and have a Latin American printed version and an electronic version also was that getting the book from Spain was just the shipping was even more expensive than the book for some countries. Right. Unless you, of course, use the normal land snail mail, and that would take forever. No.
And another obstacle, while you're on that, Manuel, another obstacle was that the partner of the AIP, the Association for Heritage Interpretation in Spain, their partner that was handling the sales of the books and the transactions and so forth, would not accept a credit card. You had to go to a bank and send an international wire, which cost you an extra fee on top of what they were charging you in euros. And so it was very expensive and logistically complicated, in addition to the challenges of language and imagery. And so there was an obvious need for it in Latin America.
Yeah, there's an issue about distribution, even here in Mexico, because as we are related now with many people from Central and South America, they want the book, and they are planning, well, some people from Costa Rica, for example, they are planning to come to an event organized by IPA, the organization of Latin American interpreters, that and they are coming here. So they are saying, please, I need that book, and we need to have a bunch of books to take to our countries. But well, it's a matter of distribution that we are working on, and happily we have this well, Amazon and other companies who make the job very easier. And we have, as a small organization, we have possibilities to search for possibilities for people willing to have the book, even if they are going to spend 2 or 3 or 4 weeks waiting for the book. They're going to pay less than paying for the regular service. So we recognize as Latin American people that expenses on shipping are something people consider to buy something like a book. So we try to make easier the distribution, and that's something I think we are very working on and willing to make it even easier than the regular possibilities we have now.
Well, Kindle is
one-
going to be of great help, the Kindle version, you know, because that is instantaneously.
Yeah.
And with your credit card, with PayPal, you can do it, no problem.
Right. One thing that Paul and Song that really stands out about InterPat's brand and the niche that is filling in the interpretation profession in the Spanish language world is that they have taken, again, this probably due to the fact that you're looking at a couple of very accomplished academics in Manuel and Antonieta, major professor and former doctoral student, by the way. They have been dedicated, they have dedicated InterPat, and you'll find this on their website if you go to it, to making the literature, a huge library of literature available. A lot of it written by the three of us and by other people as well that's been translated, and literally dozens. It's a library, it's an online library. And in addition, long ago, I literally gave them the rights to sell my first book in Spanish, Environmental Interpretation, Interpretación Ambiental, as a revenue generator for the organization, but they chose instead to give it away to new members as an enticement for people to join. So you could join and then download a PDF of this book, which I believe you can still do, right, Tony?
That's right.
And so that tells you something about what this organization is trying to do in advancing the profession of interpretation. The seminal literature is critical to any profession, and they are the only organization that has done this in this way to this degree anywhere in the world. So my sincere congratulations. It's great to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that the three of you, work tirelessly on this translation collaboration project. And Sam, I know that you also are not taking royalties from this. And I think that really just says a lot about the three of you and about InterPatMX and how, you see something bigger and you want to fund something bigger, right? Interpretation is so important. That you are willing to, fund other things like graduate student projects. You
saw my email this morning, didn't you? That I sent early. I got up about 6:30 and sent you an email, the two of you, to tell you I wanted to make this about InterPat. But as long as you give me a segue, let me just say just briefly about this. This is something that people around me, close to me, said, Sam, people need to know about this. It's never been something I needed to brag about. It's just something I wanted to do. And anybody who knows me knows that is a fact. But long ago, Fulcrum Publishing and I decided that we were we don't go find these people, they find us. I don't go out and recruit somebody. A Homer who asked me, why isn't there one in Chinese? I said, well, that's because I haven't been approached by somebody who wants to do it. Actually, I was approached by a publisher a while ago, but they really didn't want to. Contractually, they weren't going to make things work. But there are now 12 different translations of this book, and every one of them has been offered at the request of an organization, a professional organization dedicated to interpretation or closely related to it around the world. So for them to acquire the rights to translate it in their own language and produce it and sell it and keep all of the profits. I don't take 1 penny of royalty. I never have on any Spanish version of this book, including my first one, Interpretación Ambiental. The University of Idaho sold that, and I did fund Latin American graduate student projects with the sales of those books. And now it's being used all over the world. This was the model that Antonieta and Manuel and I engaged with from the beginning with InterPat. This is the process, and what's cool is that finally this is coming out, right? But because I'm proud of it, and it is part of my legacy, I hope. But it is in such good hands with this organization and these two individuals in particular that I'm beside myself with renewed excitement over this model that I've had in place since the early 1990s. So anyway, again, hats off to the two of you in Interpat.
Sam, you said you weren't going to bring that up, and so we decided we were going to bring it up for you because I think that's such a great thing to do. I mean, you've had 12 foreign language editions of this book, 40,000 copies sold, and you haven't taken a dime or royalties, and that's important. So, so you said you weren't going to bring it up, but we brought it up for you.
Okay, well,
I was going to do
Sam
it.
gave me the segue, and I chomped on it. So anyway, thank you.
Great. Well, in one final question to InterPatMX, how do you see InterPatMX contributing to the growth of interpretation in Latin America?
Well, we are working step by step. We are a small organization. But in this almost nearly 3 years, each December, when we recapitulate, how do you say that?
Recapitulate, yeah, I guess so.
We see, oh, we actually connected many people in different events. So I cannot have the number of people who has been directly or indirectly related to one or more than 1 or 5 events that we have had in InterPat, but there are so many right now. I would say thousands right now who know about interpretation, deeply about topics about interpretation. I think we are working not such big steps, but small steps. But I think we're having this initial, we can say this 3 years as initial steps with a lot of people connected to interpretation. And that's, for me, that's the most important thing, because it's, again, it's why we decided to create this organization. And we are working on events and with you and with Interpret Canada and now with Gahi and whatever in South America. And so it's impressive. For me personally, it's impressive. And I think we're, as we are beginning the process of giving courses, and maybe in a few years a certification, we don't know, because there are so many steps to keep to have that in Mexico. But we're working on it. So we are, if you ask me, well, I would say connection of people has been a tremendous success. I don't know, in your perspective, Manuel.
No, that's right.
Tony is not giving you some details here that are impressive, and I just want to mention them. They offer regular research seminars, interpretive research seminars, and I've attended a number of them. And they offer these other, they call them afternoon gatherings. How do you say that in Spanish again? Tertulias. And both of these research seminars and these afternoon gatherings are live Zoom sessions. And they, if you sit in on one and you see all the participants, you can see they are from all over Latin America and the Caribbean. And I predict that sometime in the foreseeable future, you're going to be changing your name. You will be rebranding, and you will no longer be InterPatMX for Mexico. You will be InterPat ALC for America Latina y el Caribe, or for Latin America and the Caribbean, or for the Americas, InterPat Las Americas, or something like that. I mean, because that is the role you are serving now. You're just not branded that way. So it's impressive. This is a historically important organization happening right there where you're looking at these two people.
And I should add that we are a volunteer-based organization. We don't have like a permanent staff like you guys do.
That's the way NAI started. Just exactly the way
they were AIN. You are our model in a way.
Yeah.
You are our model.
And we were very fortunate, right as you all were founding InterPatMX, to have Antonieta come visit us here at NAI and shadowed us for a couple of weeks or a couple of days, and we got to have Tony here in the building, and yeah, that was when Margot was our executive director. Margot Carlock was here, and we had a terrific time just just talking about what the organization was going to look like and how NAI might be of service in helping to get it founded.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
yes, they are the model, Sam. They are the model.
I know.
Well, I know. They've been very generous. They've been very generous with us. It took us 1 year to get started. Really, I mean, to go public, not on shares or anything, but to start asking for memberships, because there's also a lot of red tape in Mexico that you don't have.
Yeah. Tony, you were going to say something, and then I'm going to wrap us up and get us out of here.
I knocked at NAI store and I say, oh, what are they going to say? And they say, come on. And they offer me, well, you were really, I have that trip in my heart. It was a tremendous experience. And they sent us, and Manuel went virtually to one of the meetings, because we were thinking about creating this organization InterPat. We didn't know that we didn't know the name in that moment. And yeah, it was, I remember Margot taking me to each of these departments that you have, and they invited me to one of the regular meetings on Monday, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so you are a very, very, very good part of that the beginning of the steps of InterPatMX, and thank you again.
Well, it's certainly been a highlight of my career with NAI to get to know you all, Manuel and Antonieta. Sam and I go way the heck back. We go way back to like a regional workshop in the early 2000s. And I remember to be honest, I had just started with NAI. I wasn't familiar with all the big names in the field yet. And Sam saw that I was wearing a Phillies cap. He was wearing a Mariners cap. We started talking baseball, and someone said, that guy's a pretty big name in this field. And so I was like, wow. So it's been such a thrill to get to work on this, project with you all and to learn more about the translation of the book and InterPatMX, and Sam's been a keynote at so many of our events too. So this is I said, as we in the pre-recording here, this has been a really fun sort of reunion for me to get together with you all. So thank you so much for everything that you do for the field of interpretation, for taking some time to talk with us about it today. It's such a thrill, and it's so much fun to speak with you guys. I hope we get to all be together in the same place again sometime soon.
It's mandatory.
Maybe
Obligatorio.
Maybe in the place you have it in your back, Paul.
Yes, and the reason this is my background is because when we all were together in Mexico City in 2017, this was one of the amazing sites that you took us to. I can start the name of it, but then I always trip myself up in the middle of it. So Manuel or Antonieta, would you like to say the name of this?
Teotihuacan, and I don't blame you, Teotihuacan.
Yeah. It's not easy, but it was so cool. And we got to walk up those steps all the way up to the top. So that was an amazing spot. So that's why that's my background image right now. It's a trip down memory lane for me from that trip in 2017. So anyhow, thank you guys. Thank you all for the time that you've taken to talk with us today, and for everything that you do for interpretation. And we'll get together in person soon.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Song, and thanks to NAI.
Well, that was amazing. Again, some of our favorite people. You can still register for the Gahi Excellence in Interpretation webinar on Thursday, 10 o'clock a.m. Mountain Time, featuring InterPatMX, and Manuel is the presenter, actually. And he will be presenting in Spanish, but there will be English translation.
So we're dropping this episode of S&P 2 days early, so that you can get a taste for Manuel and Antonieta, and so that you can go sign up for their webinar, which is coming in 2 days. Today's Tuesday. If you're watching this on the day it drops, and then Thursday is their webinar. You
can get the book in Spanish if you go to the InterPat website. So definitely, if you're Spanish speaking, please go to the InterPatMX website. You can purchase the book there. I believe it is, it is 600 Mexican pesos, roughly around $30 US for the book, for the physical copy. They do also have Kindle versions available as well. And I think you can also actually buy it on Amazon. So lots of ways to purchase this book. But anyway, go check out InterPatMX's website. And in other news, Paul, we're still getting amazing conversations at the Interpreters Network.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of entertaining. Like I just wake up and I just kind of look through it, and the conversations are just super fun.
If you're an NAI member, go hop on the member area on the website and click on the big Interpreters Network banner, and you can see all these great conversations going on. Yep. And of course, then you can also, while you're there, check out conference stuff. Lots of info. Conference, register for the conference. It's coming up in November. It's August 9, Song. November is going to be here before we know it. The early bird registration that closes the end of August. So get your registration soon. That's right, dude. All right. Well, that's it for our episode today. But
I don't know, Paul. I just spent a week with you at the NAI board meeting.
You sick of me? A lot of bad jokes, a lot of baseball talk.
This is true, but that was a good board meeting. It's always nice to meet the board, some of the new members of the board. And I'm sure there's minutes floating around somewhere.
They're coming. They're coming. It always takes a little bit, but before the November board meeting, we'll have minutes from this board meeting.
What he said.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.